I
I, Benjamin Dagadu,
swear by Almighty God
swear by Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth,
the truth,
the whole truth,
the whole truth,
and nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. You're welcome, Honorable Domini. On behalf of the members of this committee, I'd like to congratulate you on your nomination by His Excellency the President to the position of Deputy Minister Designate, Ministry of Energy. We will take you through your CV and Article 94 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, and then after that, we'll take the main substance. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa will set the ball rolling.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Page 1 of the CV, the name, just for our records, the name here is Benjamin Spencer Kweku Dagadu. But in your swearing in, you just mentioned Benjamin Dagadu. The communication from the presidency also indicates Benjamin Dagadu. But your CV is Benjamin Spencer Kweku Dagadu. So for our records, what should we use?
Benjamin Dagadu. The Spencer was given to me when I was in secondary school, Form 3, as a result of my exploits in physics. And then the Kweku is the day on which I was born, a Wednesday born.
Okay, then below on still on page 1, work experience, general manager, and then the period October 2010 to April 2011. But you don't indicate where you were general manager, which institution?
A to Z Petroleum Products Ghana Limited. A to Z.
And then on page 2, energy consultant, Ministry of Energy. Your second and third bullet points, you don't give any specifics. You just say prepare contract document and remainder of works, evaluate the bids and prepare reports for contract award. This is all in relation to what particular project?
The Osagifo Power Badge.
Page 5 of your CV. Master of Science. You have excellent 4 MSc degree in petroleum engineering. Can you please clarify what you mean by excellent 4?
In Hungary, the methodology of grading exams, the best is 5. Followed by a 4, then 3, 2, and 1. 1 is failure.
Okay, thank you for the Hungarian education. And the last but one for me, Mr. Chairman, is the hobbies. I notice you state projects which you carry out. These projects, you say implement community, including rainwater. I'm sure you mean rainwater harvest. It's a type of the rural electrification, EP school block. This one you indicated who financed it, Dr. Mrs. Nadu Mills. But the previous ones, community, rainwater harvest, rural electrification, are these self-financed? Because these are your hobbies, personal hobbies. Did you use your own resources to implement these projects?
For the water project, I solicited funds from Michui and Co., a company that was working with GNPC. And for the rural electrification, I was very instrumental in getting electricity to my small village as far back as 1986, when most of even Ho never had power. So that's one of my achievements.
The rainwater project, which community? You didn't say.
It's my village, Chome, Afedo.
Okay. And then finally, you say languages spoken, English, Hungarian, and Ewe. What's the level of proficiency in the Hungarian language?
I studied in Hungarian. You have to learn the language for 1 year before you enter the university. And all instructions were in Hungarian. So I can speak Hungarian, I can write Hungarian, and I can chat in Hungarian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That will be it.
Yes, before I allow any other member to ask any questions, you were asked the question as to which one for our record purposes we should use, whether Benjamin Dagadu or Benjamin Spencer Dagadu. You chose Benjamin Dagadu, right? And you said Spencer was like a nickname.
Pardon?
You said Spencer was like a nickname.
It's a nickname.
And why did you use it in your CV? Have you effected a change of name formally to include Spencer? No.
No, sir.
Then you shouldn't make it part of your...
But
including his certificates.
Does it appear in any of your documents, including certificates?
my passport, I use it.
That's why it is no longer a nickname.
No, but he hasn't gone through the formal process of effecting a change of name. So technically, Spencer is not your name, unless you go through the process.
Noted, sir.
All right. Honorable Okujejo Ablako, I take him through Article 94.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if we may know from the nominee if he holds any other allegiance apart from being a Ghanaian and owing allegiance to Ghana.
Only owe allegiance to Mother Ghana.
So whilst you were schooling in Hungary, you never acquired any Hungarian nationality?
No, sir.
How about being a registered voter? Did you vote in the last elections?
Yes, sir. I voted in Adenta.
Which particular polling station?
Accountancy.
Which
School of
community?
Accountancy.
Which area? Which part of Adenta?
It's in the New Ashalebote.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that will be it.
Any more on the CV? Yes, Honorable Eric Opoku.
Chairman, I think we have to be satisfied on his name. Which name appears on your certificate?
I have in Hungary, most of the people, because I normally abbreviate my name BSK, so it's Benjamin Spencer Kweku Dagadu on my certificate. But most of the people who know me in the industry, they call me Ben Dagadu or Benjamin Dagadu, or in short, Ben Dag.
So in this case, what is your former name?
My former name is Benjamin Dagadu. But when I went to secondary school, that's when I took.
No, the former name is the one on your certificate. No, that it should be the one on the certificate. So, please. So, for the purpose of our records, what is on the CV must hold.
All things being equal, what you're saying should be right. But here we are, he hasn't gone through the process of effecting a change of name. So although it appears on his certificate, he needs to regularize it by going through that process. If he doesn't, his name remains Benjamin Dagadu as far as the legal position is concerned.
Excuse me.
I think that, we have been colonized. And sometimes you take a name and add to names. This is not a local name that you say he should change and add. Once it's an English name and he has decided to add it, so long as it also appears in some of his official documents, including the passport, there is no need to go through a formal system.
I think for his own good, he should go through that process for your own good. Okay. All right, let's move on. Any more on the CV?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to be clear. So, what name is the committee going to use? Which will be different from what is on the CV?
Let's go through this process. I've asked him to regularize it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, any more?
Then, on the CV, page 5, Certificate in Applied Petroleum Engineering, January 185 to June 1985. I think we have to be clear on this part. January 185 to June 1985. What exactly do you want to tell us? Take note and then you look at it. Page 5. Then on the same page, hobbies. One of your hobbies is mobilization and implementation of community development projects. Is that a hobby? Is that your hobby?
Yes.
Mobilization and implementation of
I
community.
like mobilizing the people to help themselves.
Then you said Angola project. What is Angola project?
In 1992, GNPC had a contract with Sonagol to drill and test 2 wells for them in Block 24. I was the project coordinator, and we mobilized, went and drilled the 2 wells. Unfortunately, the production platform that we sent, before we could install it in the field, UNITA ran down the base that we were working in, so we couldn't install it. And that's the facility that is at the Sekedi Naval Base now. It was in 2005, I went back to Angola, negotiated, and they brought it to Ghana. So that's the Angolan project. We were paid for all the job that we did there by the Sonagol.
Any more on the CV? Okay. Now, let's start with the main substance. Honorable Dr. Alassan, you're not ready yet. Yes, who will kick the ball rolling? Yes. Honorable Ariarga.
Mr. Benjamin, what I see here is Spencer Kwaku Dagadu. Don't worry, you're not alone. My name changed several times, so I can sympathize with you. I think your target should be your birth certificate. I think if you can go and unearth that one and find out what is. If you
Mr.
can.
Chairman, if that discovery doesn't muddy the waters further.
And I think that you can always go back to that one, and that's the original name. Of course, you have the right to change your name, except that Chairman is simply saying that we should go through the normal legal processes for effecting the change. But I see from your CV that you have done extensive work in the energy sector, both in terms of oil and also power. And given this very impressive background, can you generally explain to us why we have our current power challenges?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Energy crisis in Ghana always came in a cycle of 10 years when the water level in Akosombo goes down. And in 1986, thereabout, there was studies done to see how we can supplement the hydro so that we can sustain the hydro for a longer period throughout the year. These studies show that we have to start thinking of thermal generation. VRA started it with the Boise plant. GNPC came in to help with the Sajifo power barge, just to follow studies done by the Electric Energy Commission that we have to be adding 100 megawatts of thermal generation every year from that 1986. Most of the projects started by VRA and then GNPC could not come on stream when they should have come on stream, either because of financing constraints or some other demands from the donor countries. When you don't continue following a program whereby you have to be adding extra generation, any deferment of those programs will cause you troubles in the end. And that's what we are experiencing.
So what you're saying is that the current energy or power challenges, I won't describe it as crisis, challenges that we are faced with, it's not because John Dramani Mahama was sworn in on the 7th of January. Because between 7th January and today, you cannot effectively resolve an energy crisis. It is because of a failure many years ago to make the investments needed to do the additional 100 megawatts per annum. Can you explain that well? Because I think that we need to understand that aspect of your explanation.
Mr. Chairman, just as I said, if let me bring it down to the lowest level. If you want to walk from here to my village, Chome, and you decide to just start at the same point and be marking time, you will never reach there. If you start the first step, the second step, you may get to Tetekwashi. From there, you continue. We had a study, and we know as a country, we should have to make the effort to add this number of megawatts a year for maybe 10 years. If you defer those decisions and you have not added a single one in 10 years, you have postponed your misery. And that's what will happen. I can give another example. When, during the last NPP regime, they came, we had the energy crisis in 2007, which was very serious.
Oh, so this is not the first time we're having energy crisis? This is not the first time we're having energy crisis?
No, sir. No, sir.
We had one in 2007. When the MPP was in office?
Yes.
Oh, okay, you can continue.
And during that period, there were attempts to add emergency generation plants. I can sit here and confirm that out of all the efforts, the only one that was completed was the one I supervised the construction of. That's Tema TT2PP, or Siemens plant, which is now operating. I was the consultant on that project for 2 years, and we completed. That's the only one which has been completed and which is operational.
So, given the revelation that we have a 10% annual increment in demand, is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Where do you think our annual investment target should be? How much should we now invest to create annually? Because at that time, the study said 100 megawatts. But since then, the demand has been increasing at least 10% per annum. Today, how much do you think per annum we should be investing in order to forestall in the future energy crisis in this country?
I'm glad the Ministry of Energy, having recognized all these shortfalls, have done a study and wants to put into the system 5,000 megawatts by 2016.
Okay. So, even though the studies that time showed that we should be adding 100, you are saying that President John Dramani Mahamad's government has actually targeted to add, on the average, not less than 1,000 megawatts per annum. So others were targeting to add 100 per annum, but President John Dramani Mahama is targeting to add about 1,000 per annum. You don't think that is very ambitious?
If we have the private-public partnership in energy generation, I think we have no choice than to invest in that, in the energy, if we want to forestall problems in the future.
So, given your experience, your background, your involvement in putting together such public-private partnerships to establish or construct power generation plants, can we go home rest assured that President John Dramani Mahama has appointed the right person to assist the energy minister to meet this ambitious 1,000 megawatts per annum target?
I can pledge that I'll do everything in my efforts to help my minister to achieve this. I've gained a lot from Ghana government, and at my advanced age now, the experiences that I've gained, I would like to put it back into assisting my minister to achieve the better Ghana agenda and to get Ghana back to energy exporting country.
No further questions.
Jamal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, taking it from supporting your minister, I have noticed something very interesting here in your CV, where you are saying that, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I read, I enjoy working at all levels and under any challenge. I get along with others, juniors and seniors alike, whilst also working on your own. I was going to look at the age differentials between yourself and your minister, but at least with what I read in this CV here, I am assured that you will be able to get along with him, even though he is far, far, far junior in terms of age. And so I expect that cooperation between you and him. But another interesting thing I discovered is that, in fact, you started school before you were born. And in fact, you started. So when I look at page 5 of your CV, I saw when you look at upper primary, Amfuenga EP primary, upper primary, September 1937 to June 1963. In fact, you spent 23 years doing upper primary.
Chairman,
Unless
it's a typo error.
oh, okay. Otherwise, I'll say you started school before you were born.
No. Mr. Chairman, it's 1957.
Oh, okay. Then, finally, let me also ask. In fact, when you look at the energy problem that we are talking about in Ghana because of this doomso attitude that we are talking about, in your candid opinion, do you think that as a country, we are on the right track in making sure that in the next few years, because the president has promised that he's going to increase from over 2,000 megawatts to about 5,000. Do you think the various projects that we are putting together, we are on the right track as a country?
Mr. Chairman, I have no doubt in my mind that we are on the right path. One, because we have introduced thermal generation into our mix as far back as the 90s, early 90s, when Abuaze plant was installed. And that added some extra generation. We have now started working on the simple cycle plant, the TICO, which was generating 110 megawatts. We are converting that into combined cycle to add another 110 megawatts. So that is in the right direction. Thirdly, we have started working, or that's Ghana government has started working to review the tariff regime to an acceptable level to take into account thermal generation costs, especially if we had to use the liquid fuels. But with the gas discovery and the gas infrastructure that is being put in place, which is going to make available substantial gas for the power generation, any extra thermal generation that will have to be put into the system can be met from that gas. And I'll also assist my sector minister to put in place some insurance in terms of LNG, the liquefied natural gas plant, so that in case there's the sort of disruption in the pipeline, either from the east or from the west, we can isolate the pipeline and have the LNG vaporized and put into the place to get the generation, either Tema, or if it's from the west, we do the same thing and have Abuaje fully generating power at all costs and at every time. If we put all these things into effect, we will not have these problems again. We have to add more thermal generation, and we have to get the sources of the fuel diversified. Thank you.
Mr. Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Just a while ago, the nominee talked about how he was consultant for the Tema Power project and completed it. I noticed that you were also the consultant for the Osajefo Power Badge. That badge is yet to generate power. I would want to know from you, by way of my first question, how this came about, because reading further on you, I found out that you have been associated to this batch since the 1990s when you were in charge of the Tano project at GMPC. So I'd like to know why this particular consultancy you did appears to be a very difficult one that is yet to generate power. Then I also noticed, Mr. Chairman, that the nominee was a consultant to Athol Energy. Is this the same company that has Mr. Greg Murray as the chief executive?
The second question first. Mr. Chairman?
I haven't completed the second
okay.
question. That's why I just wanted help so that I can develop the second question.
He is the one.
So you are aware of an interview granted by the former chief of staff to an Accra-based radio station, Mr. Kojo Mpieni, about how the company came to implement that project. Are you aware of that interview and what the former chief of staff described as the circumstances? He indicates that you people were handed over the contract on humanitarian grounds because your chief executive had personal problems. I do not want to go into the details of that, but will you say that that has compromised the credibility of that particular contract which you were the consultant for?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got to know about the interview later in the life of the project. My involvement did not start from the conception stage. It started when they mobilized all the equipment and they had to start the construction. So I was contracted as a consultant for the construction. The finances, I was not privy to. The second one, Athol Energy belonged to Mr. Craig Murray and other Ghanaians. And they interviewed me and recruited me to help them complete the project in similar way or similar function as I did with the Osagifo Power Badge. On the Osagifo Power Badge, I was the architect of the project. The conception, the pre-feasibility, the feasibility, contract preparation, evaluation, award, construction, tow, and installation in the pond at Efasu Magia. When the badge, I finally put the badge inside in 2005, March 6. Then my contract, initial contract with the Ministry of Energy ended. But in September, I was called again to come and do some evaluation for the badge to be brought to Tema. When I did it, my report said that it was not economically prudent to remove the badge again from Efasu and bring it to Tema. So we should leave it there and get the necessary facilities, that's the offshore gas, to generate. I also did a study at that point to see whether we could get gas from La Côte d'Ivoire, which was just about 100 kilometers away from Efasu. If we could get that gas piped to Efasu, we could generate. Then later, in 2008, or 2007, a contract between the Ministry of Energy and Balkan Energy was signed. After it was signed, my expert opinion was sought. And I told the people who sought my opinion that the contract was useless, because how can I have something and I want to lease it to you to operate, and then my capital cost, you add it to your lease and then charge me for capacity that I should pay you for using my own equipment? I said, that was not heard of. It's not a normal practice in the industry. If I'm leasing my equipment to you, you will be paying me the capacity charge. You ask me to provide the fuel, so the fuel is passed through. So you will just be charging me your maintenance costs and all those things, and not charge me capacity charge. But this is what was part of the contract that was signed. In addition to that, they gave the badge for 30 years at $1 billion a year, which means the 30 years, Ghana government will pay Balkan, which is not the manufacturer of the plant, which doesn't own the plant, $30 million, $30 billion. So it was not going to fly. And thirdly, that big contract was never passed to Parliament for approval. All this made that contract very, very smelly. And I'm not surprised Balkan could not generate a kilowatt hour energy from that plant for the period that they were holding on to it. I can say it to the whole world, Balkan didn't have any knowledge of the badge. They have no knowledge about gas turbines, and they have no knowledge and expertise to operate that badge. When they were to contact me, they used political jargons that I was NDC, so I should not be employed there. And they had problems. They have damaged one of the turbines. There are 2 turbines on board, installed on the barge. They damaged one of them. The second one, they tried to operate it. They had full speed, no load. They turned the turbines to the full speed, but don't add any load, which means they are not evacuating anything. And up to now, they don't have the means to evacuate any power if we even generate now. This Balkan, after they found that they were hot, they took the government to court. And I will not talk about that because the rest of the case is in court at arbitration. When I get the nod, all the knowledge that I have on the badge, I'll put it at the disposal of the ministry and my boss, so that we can go to the arbitration, and we're sure we'll get the best out of them. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to this Osajifo badge thing and the Balkan Energy. There's a lot involving that case, and I believe you are aware that the Supreme Court of Ghana has ruled that that agreement you're talking about could not fly because it did not go through Parliament, and therefore it was a non-starter. You are aware of that?
Yes, sir. I was part of the people in the background who drafted it.
Okay, I don't want us to go any further, but just to say that, look, like you rightly said, one of the turbines has been destroyed. And, all right, okay, let's leave it at that. Yes, okay.
Mr. Benjamin, your last sentence in which you said, when you get the nod, you will make all this knowledge and expertise available to government so that we can take the appropriate corrective measures. When you were a private consultant and you typically managed a project like this, can you give us a sense of how much you were paid? Just a sense, you don't have to be exact, but just a sense of how much you were paid as a consultant before I finish my question.
Honorable member, I think, honorable member, please hold on. I think that will be going too far. I mean, no. Seriously, I don't think it will be fair to him to disclose how much he was paid and all of that. You know, no. Please, let's be fair to him. Let's be fair to him. If you want us to go in camera, I'm prepared to do that as far as this particular question is concerned. But I think that in all fairness to him, we should leave him out of this.
Okay, Chairman, let me just give a background in case maybe it will help. This is information, knowledge, expertise, and skills that you say you will make available to government. And as we speak, there's a raging controversy in this country regarding the salaries and emoluments of ministers and deputy ministers. And some people think that deputy ministers and ministers don't deserve the kind of pay that they are getting. I just want to have a sense of what kind of pay you are forfeiting to come and be a deputy minister and provide the same knowledge that you were providing at that cost to government at the 7,000 a month that we will be paying you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think this is a problem for me. But when I joined the ministry, they put me as a consultant, but they had to negotiate my emoluments. Because I was from GMPC, seconded to VRA, and then before joining the ministry, they were paying me the same amount that I would have been receiving at GMPC, which at that time was 9 million cedis, old Ghana cedis, old cedis. Currently, 900 cedis. That's what I was receiving for the close to 3 years that I worked for them. Have I answered the question?
We're talking about consultancy on projects. When you are a consultant on a project like the Osajifo badge, all the other badges, not when you served as a public officer in the ministry, but when you serve as a consultant.
With Alcohol Nigeria, I was receiving $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month.
As a consultant?
Yes.
Okay. The last consultancy that you did?
Yes.
It's enough. Yes. Who next? Honorable Eric Opoku.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, from your CV, between 1980, September 1980 and January 1989, you worked with the Petroleum Department, Ministry of Fuel and Power, Accra. And you undertook sulfur redevelopment study with Charlotte Oil in Dublin, then Ireland. Are you implying that between 1980 and 1989, you were working on the oil that some people have been speculating that it was discovered somewhere between 2005 and 2010?
I worked, Mr. Chairman, I started work in Petroleum Department as the team leader for the Sopon redevelopment until 1985, when primary fuels relinquished the field. So I was sent over to Dublin to go and study a process whereby we, that's Ghana GNPC, could reactivate and redevelop the field. So the study that I did, that's the same study that SOPC is currently using to develop it. I worked together with Brass Petro to do the reservoir engineering, and we worked on it. Apart from the Sopon field, that was the same time that we're drilling the Tano fields. And I had to do a lot of studies from reservoir engineering, the drilling, then that's coordinated drilling, and we completed and tested one well. The reason why we had to do that was we did front-end engineering studies to use the gas that we will be producing in the field in Tano to generate electricity to supply. And when I came back, my boss, Mr. Chachu Chikata, read it and then said, this was a very good idea, and Ben, you have to see to its implementation. So I became the coordinator of the Tano development. And we did all the studies, did all that we have to do, presented it to the financing agencies, World Bank, IMF, the Dutch EXIM, US EXIM, OECF at that time, now JBIC. And what resulted was the front-end engineering that we did, there were some issues that they raised when we did a presentation in World Bank offices in Washington, that we have to, the technology for transmitting the electricity that will be generated from the FPSO offshore to the beach was not very well tried. So we had to change the way we wanted to complete it. That is why we put it now on a barge and brought the barge to the beach in the harbor. So my involvement has been all through GNPC, the offshore, the onshore, everything.
So, Honorable Nominee, when did we discover oil in this country? When?
The first discovery in the Tano area was by Phillips in 1982. I was on board when we did the testing, and we recorded it as a discovery, but that one is closer to the beach. It's between 5 and 15 kilometers offshore. GNPC continued, acquired more seismic data to the deeper side of the tunnel. GNPC had the data processed and then interpreted. We were able, as GNPC was able to map the reservoir that is now considered the Jubilee. But GNPC did not have the funds and the technology to drill in that deeper water. The shallow side was in a water depth of about 100 meters. The Jubilee is 1.5 kilometers, 1,500 meters and more. GNPC didn't have the technology and the money at that time to do it. So is the data that GNPC gave to the oil companies that were coming in, which had the technology and the financial muscle to be able to drill in those deeper waters. And that data was used, and the only way you can discover whether you have mapped it and know that there is something that can accumulate oil or not is to drill. So it's the Jubilee field, that's Cosmos and Tulo. They drilled that structure, and luckily they hit it. So they, I can say categorically, they have discovered it.
Yes, Honorable Kujeto.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a follow-up on that. There has been this debate that in your days at GNPC, when you and your colleagues were at GNPC, you didn't focus on oil exploration, and that it had to take other governments to come and focus. And that you, GNPC, you spread your tentacles so wide, and you were even a drain on the Ghanaian economy and all of that. And that is why you didn't do much, you didn't even contribute to the eventual discovery. What do you say about that charge? They say you were doing salt and farms and all kinds of things.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I beg to differ, because data or knowledge that we gained, which we gave to all these companies, is so valuable that if GNPC had not taken that decision to go into the venture, try to get the information that is required, drill a well, pass through a reservoir, and identify some structures that can have accumulation of hydrocarbons, and sell them or give it out to people to lure them to come and invest, we would have had this success.